Welcome to Inspiring Possible. I'm Christy Pennison, former stuck person turned therapist and dream consultant. Are you feeling stuck, overwhelmed, uncertain, or just need a little inspiration? Then I want to help you gain the clarity, confidence, and courage to create possibilities and live a life you love. Because folks, life's too short to be miserable.
Have you ever had one of those days where you started out and you had a plan, and then as soon as you wake up, things just don't go according to plan? Well, I'll be honest with you folks, that's what happened to me today. Don't worry, I figured out a solution, but it's just funny because as we have talked a lot on this podcast about, creating possibilities, one of the things we have talked about a little bit is the fact that there can be obstacles. This morning I woke up and I was like, yes, I am going to record some podcast episodes so that I can get some information out to my people, encourage them a little bit, inspire them a little bit, give them some perspective for their day. And wouldn't you know, I sit down to my computer and I woke up early, y'all. And it's kind of hard for me to wake up early because I really love my sleep. But I said, I only have so many hours today. I need to get some stuff done. Y'all know how you finally get that motivation to be like, I'm going to do it and I'm going to do it today and I'm going to get it done. Well, that was me this morning. And I sat down to record this episode. And wouldn't you know, as soon as I pulled up my computer, the lights went out. And I thought as I started, I'm like, man, this is such like life. Sometimes you start something and you are prepared, you're ready, you show up, and then the lights go out. And it's an analogy, I think, that's is important for all of us as we're going to talk a little bit today about something completely related to not the lights going out. But I wanted to start off with this, that you can be ready. You can be prepared. I had a mentor once tell me, I want to be prepared for when I'm called. And what that means is that I want to be prepared when there's an opportunity that presents itself so that I can walk in that opportunity. So often we are given these opportunities that we may miss or we may not be ready for because we haven't put in the work or done the stuff to be prepared. And preparedness can be like, just practicing things or showing up consistently or even thinking about what you would do if you would be given that opportunity that you really wanted. But in this situation, I was prepared. I came this morning. I have some ideas that I want to talk to you about. And then the lights went out. But this is where creative problem solving comes into play because there will be obstacles in your day. In fact, if you're listening to this, you may already have had your day start and be like, Christy, you have no idea. You are speaking to my soul right now because I got up this morning and then stuff just started happening and not going according to plan. And, that is life. It's life. The lights are going to go out. Things are going to go wrong. Obstacles are going to be in your way that you didn't expect. But what are you going to do when you're faced with those obstacles? And I'll be honest with you, sometimes we just need to sit down for a minute, which is what I did this morning. I sipped on my coffee a little bit more. I contemplated what possible things I could do next to still get some stuff done in my day, still bring this episode to you. But I just sat for a moment. I sat and sipped. And sometimes we need to sat and sip. Okay. And I sat and sipped it in silence because it is quiet. I don't know if y'all know when there's no electricity, like your air conditioner's not working. And if you're in the South, that could be very problematic. Your refrigerator's no longer working. Like there's nothing in your house that is producing noise except for at this time in the morning, maybe somebody sleeping or an animal. Okay. And sometimes it's a good thing when you are faced with things that are unexpected to give yourself a moment, a few moments, a few days to sit and think of, okay, this was unexpected. And instead of reacting to it, it's how am I going to respond to this? So you give yourself enough time to get over the wave of emotions. So for me this morning, it was frustration and like, really? Is this really going to happen? Like I just rolled up to my desk. I just plugged in my microphone. I'm just getting ready, and bam, no lights. But there's moments where we can just sit and say, okay, this is just a challenge. I see it for what it is. It's an obstacle. It's life. How am I going to roll through it? And this morning when I was sitting and sipping, I decided that, you know what? Guess what? I have this crazy thing, which this is crazy that we have all these things anyways to problem solve this. But I'm like, I have a mobile hotspot and my laptop is fully charged. So that means it can run off the hotspot. And then I'm like, I can actually still do this in the dark. And so I'm coming to you folks in the dark. Okay. And it just reminded me that if we often take a little bit of time to sit, to pause, we can often discover what the next best step is or what the next solution is. And sometimes it's a timing thing, folks. If you're going about your day and then something happens and you had expected to do this thing at this time, sometimes you'll figure out it ain't the right time. You may have to reset. You may have to redo. Can I have a redo? Or you may have to try again later. I can think about a few things that I was really passionate about making happen in my life. And what I came to realize in those moments, sometimes when I had these very overwhelming obstacles that I was faced, I had to pause and think and ask myself, is this the right time? And sometimes it wasn't. I can think about different ventures that I've had to do or projects that I really wanted to accomplish. And I just kept on being met with obstacle and obstacle and obstacle. And I realized that maybe it's not the right time to focus on that. And so if you're in a day or moment or season where you're trying to contemplate, like, man, I really thought I want to do this thing. I showed up prepared. I've been consistent. I've looked at creative problem solving opportunities. Give yourself some grace. It just may be not the right time. And I feel like timing is super important because sometimes you can have a desire for something and it doesn't mean that it's not something that's going to come to fruition. There just has to be a timing to it. And honestly, if you give it a little bit of time, sometimes you're more ready than you were to begin with. And that's an amazing thing when you feel ready and confident to walk into that thing, to accomplish that thing that you had on your heart, mind, and soul. So, just a little encouragement for your day. I was going to sing to y'all, but I'll spare you. But you know what? As we're storytelling today, I want to tell you a different story that happened to me this past weekend because I gained a lot of relevance from it. I think hopefully you will too. But it kind of starts with a little bit of a story. So I don't know if any of y'all have put together a puzzle recently, but this past weekend, I thought it was a great idea to attempt this puzzle that I had found at the local thrift store. If you don't know this about me, I am a lover of thrift stores when I have this certain air of energy where I just want to like go and rummage and find things and find treasures. Maybe it's that my mom, when I was growing up, always taught me to shop from the sale rack. Like if it's not on sale, you don't purchase it, which still to this day, sometimes I'm like, Christy, you can get that thing over there. Like you can get that full price dress that you really want. But it's interesting because, one of the things that really taught me was to live, consciously of things and that I can actually take somebody else's trash and make it my treasure, okay? Or take that thing that that person no longer wanted and still be able to give it some more use in life. And so I am a thrifter by heart. I know everybody is not, but like I can thrift store some stuff, folks, and I can Facebook Marketplace. I mean, the day that that happened, Facebook Marketplace, and they no longer had the Craigslist. I mean, we are in the money. And y'all remember, there used to not be any of this. There used to not be no internet. It's crazy. It's amazing to think in my lifetime that there used to be not no internet. Okay. But there was a time. But back to my story. I'm getting off on a bunny trail. So I found this puzzle for 60 cents at the thrift store and it looked brand new. And in fact, it was looked like it came from Target. Target. I know some of y'all people love the Target, okay? But it came from Target at 60 cents. And I'm like, and it was 1,000 pieces. And I just picked it up and I'm like, it like called to me. I'm like, one day, Christy, you're going to take some time to put this puzzle together. And it wasn't one of those puzzles that was like super detailed, 1,000 piece, or like maybe you could like find a little piece of detail and connect that together. No, it was this puzzle of pumpkins. Okay. And a lot of these pumpkins were positioned in different ways where there were a lot of blank spaces around the pumpkins, which for y'all puzzle people, you know that blank space means a bunch of puzzle pieces that look all the same and you got to figure out how to put them together. It was a challenge. And so this past weekend, me and my boyfriend sat down and we said, let's do this puzzle. Actually, it was me that said I was going to do the puzzle. And I just pulled it out and started doing things. I really had no intention to really put it together. And what we started doing once we started pulling it out, we started looking for the pieces for the border. I don't know if anybody does puzzles that way where you're trying to build out the frame. And then the next morning, we're like, after breakfast, we're like, let's work on this puzzle. And we started putting the pumpkins together. You know, we said a few choice words when we couldn't find the right puzzle piece because that took a long time. We had to get a strategy of like what colors we were going to put in what sections and how we were going to find these pieces. I mean, it was a whole thing, a whole thing. And it took up a whole day, which is crazy because that was not the plan for the day. But, you know, sometimes you just need to sit and put together a puzzle. And so as we were putting together this puzzle, which I will 100% admit, it has not been fully put together, there were some things that came to me that I'm like, this puzzle is very similar to life. And here were a few of my takeaways. Okay. The first thing I took away is we talk a lot about it on this podcast, but the importance, folks, that I've learned about gaining clarity around what you want things to look like. And this is, I talk about this a little bit, but this is so important. I will meet people that will be stuck in like, what do I want to do next with my life? Or I actually meet a lot of times these days with sometimes business owners who have a vision of what they want to do for their business and they are not sure whether to go this way or that way. Or just people in life are stuck in relationships. I mean, it don't have to be a business owner. It could be you're stuck in your career. I was actually thinking about this a lot lately because I did have a friend that was very stuck in a career. And I'm going to actually talk about that in another solo episode about like when you're feeling like you're stuck in your workplace and you're finding yourself stressed and overwhelmed with just having a work life. I call it harmony. We're going to talk about that. So stay tuned for a future episode that's going to be about how do you create happiness in the workplace and some harmony with your work and life, because that can sometimes be challenging. But back to the puzzle. You know, you have to create some clarity. And so often when people are asking me these questions, I ask them, well, where are you going? What is the vision of what you want? And so often we forget how vital this is, because the more clear you are on where it is you're going, the more you can make steps, you can make choices to help you get there. And what made me think about this is like this puzzle. You know, I had to have a picture of what the heck it was supposed to look like. If you try to put together a puzzle and you have no clue what this puzzle is supposed to look like, it is going to take you, I don't even know, maybe puzzle experts out there could figure it out, but I feel like it could take you a very, 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 very long time to figure out what piece goes where, what this is supposed to look like. It's just in my mind, it's going to take a long time. And so having a clear picture of what you're trying to create for your life, for your work, for your relationships, for your health, I mean, for your whatever it is that you're trying to create, the clearer the picture, the more of details that you have, the easier it is to figure out which piece goes where. And just like when we're doing this puzzle, it's a great analogy for life. So if you haven't heard me say it for a lot of this, if you've been listening to this podcast a long time, like take some time to gain some clarity. And you may not always know what you want. I find that sometimes people are like, Christy, this dreaming stuff, this possibility stuff, like, I haven't thought about this. And what I found is that if you take a little bit of time to even maybe say what I don't want, where are the areas in my life where I'm not feeling, happy about, or that I'm not fully satisfied and fulfilled? And maybe you start there. Maybe that's what you want to change. Maybe there's an area that you want to have get better, but take some time to do this. And I'm telling y'all know if y'all haven't done it already, you can go over to Christy Pennison or inspiringpossible.com and get that Dream It, Write It, Do It notebook. I do it like it's free. It's free, guys. I do it a few times a year and it is amazing the clarity it brings me. And I just got a message again the other day that said, you know what, Christy, I did that goal group, which guys, it was much the workbook. Okay. We went a little bit more in depth on like limiting beliefs and how do we get over things we've talked about this podcast. And people that have been a part of that, and it was a small group of people, have told me like, I learned to gain clarity around what I wanted in life. And nobody had ever taught me how to do that. I mean, I never knew how to do that. I just had goals. Yeah. But I really didn't gain clarity about like, what do I want this to look like? So, I just want y'all to think about that. But by the way, woohoo, guess what just happened? The lights came back on. Power to the lights. Seriously, I don't know what I'd do without electricity, so I'm excited to have it. Okay, so the next thing that I found out when I was putting together this puzzle was that you have to figure out what you feel the next best step is to get where you want to go and start there. So when you're putting this puzzle together, you don't know exactly where to start, but you just have to pick something. All right. And, you may not be right the first time. You might put that little puzzle piece in there in life and it may not work. But just remember that you're going to figure it out as you go along. What you're not going to figure out is if you're not trying to put a puzzle piece there, but you will figure out as you try. The next thing I remind myself, number 3, so that was number 2, was that you have to start. So many times I see people contemplating, and this is myself too, folks. I ain't gonna just throw it to people under the bus. I'm gonna tell myself is that sometimes you sit and contemplate and make a plan and plan and plan and plan and plan. So I could look at this puzzle all day long, but it ain't gonna solve itself. And so part of life and part of gaining and going towards that picture you have is to start somewhere, and you have to start. So putting 1,000 pieces seemed very daunting together. Okay. Especially since there are a lot of blank spaces. But with a lot of patience, persistence, and consistency of trying, you will start to see what you are aiming for to take shape. Like true story, people, true story. My number 4 takeaway is to keep trying. You may try 50 pieces in one space before you find the right one, but I don't want you to give up if the first piece doesn't fit. I always think about that little image with Albert Einstein where he's like putting the different light bulbs. Speaking of light analogy, you saw how I tied that in there? Okay, for real. But there's this like cute little image that I saw once where it's Albert Einstein trying to put his little light bulb in and like a light bulb 1,000, like it works, right? I just think about the people that would have quit when they were like right about to figure it out. But the reality is the people that figured it out, it might have taken them 1,000 times. When you see somebody that you're just like, man, I don't know how they did that. You have to remember that what you're often seeing is many years of struggle, many years of hard work, persistence, like failing all the time before they sometimes actually make it or figure it out. I flew last week on an airplane and I think to myself, how many times did people try to fly something in the sky before they figured it out? A lot. So when you are putting the puzzle piece of life together, just remember, keep trying. The right piece is waiting to be found. Okay. Number 5 was that what you focus on expands. The more I worked at solving this puzzle, the better I got at solving it. The more I looked at the vision of what I was trying to create, the more it became clear. What you focus on expands. And so I was having a conversation with somebody just yesterday. They were feeling kind of stuck because they were having to do the hard things and the hard things that they are having to do right now in life that is not fun. It's hard, it's overwhelming, it's challenging to get to that clear vision that they had. And one of the things I encourage them to do is I'm like, make you a vision board, write the vision on the mirror. I don't care what you do to put it in the forefront of your mind. Because what I've found is that the more you focus on that, your brain is naturally, or your mind is naturally going to help you find these solutions to help you get there. And when we're in the thick of it, you need to know, why am I doing this all? And you need to remind yourself. And the more you focus on where you're going and that vision, the more that's going to expand, and the more you're going to be able to find those opportunities and those solutions and those next best steps to get you to where you want to be. Number 6, I got two left, folks, 2 left, and then I'll wrap them up. Okay. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. This is not my quote. I found it somewhere on the internet. I heard it once before, and I just love it. I didn't solve this puzzle alone. So I'm taking a lot of credit about finding these pieces, but really I did it with my boyfriend. Okay. He was helping me do this. And in life, I find that problems are often better solved collectively than in isolation. So sometimes it's better to focus on what you want to get help, like who you want to get help from to solve life's problems, rather than focusing on the how. And so often I think we try to do things alone that really need a different perspective. So if you're finding yourself struggling putting the pieces together, don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to do it with somebody, because it's often a lot more rewarding, a lot more fun. And you can often sometimes get perspectives on where your stuck places are a lot quicker than if you were trying to figure it out yourself. And number 7, take time to do something that challenges you. This is something that is hard for me because I don't like discomfort. I haven't met a soul in life that says, I just want to do some challenging things. But I think about it, if it really doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. And a lot of times we will stay stuck and comfortable. We don't like the uncertain. We don't like the unknown. Even if the comfortable is crazy, we'd rather stay just right there. But remind yourself that there are things to learn through challenges. Going through those challenges and moving through discomfort and doing hard things may not be easy. But when you do hard things, it helps you feel more confident to tackle the next hard thing. Let me repeat that again. When you learn to move through hard things, it helps you tackle the next hard thing. And it's kind of a confidence builder. I'll be honest with you. When you have done something that you're like, man, I don't know how I got out on the other side, but I survived that, or I did that, or I stuck with it. Yes, I had people around me helping me solve this puzzle. Yes, I had, but I showed up and did the hard work, and I am proud of myself. There's this self-confidence that comes with realizing that challenges, however overwhelming they are, is stuff that you can lean into and get through. There's a different type of just belief, self-belief that comes that really helps you move through hard things. So, when's the last time you did a puzzle? Maybe you're in a puzzle right now. If you haven't done one, maybe you should do one. I mean, if you're a puzzle person. But I do think these key takeaways are very vital to help you move through whatever you're facing. So I'm just going to wrap them up again in case you forgot about them. But it is number 1, gaining clarity. Number 1, gain clarity. Get clear, people. Number 2, figure out the next best step. You may not be right, but just try the next one. Okay. Number 3, you have to start. Number 4, keep trying. Number 5, what you focus on, remember, expands. So focus on that vision. Number 6, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go together or want to go far, go together. And then 7, take some time to do something that challenges you. So whatever obstacle you're facing today, whatever thing that is in your way, whatever puzzle you're trying to solve in life, just remind yourself that get with a little patience, persistence, and consistency, you will figure it out and you will move forward. Until next time.
That's all for today on Inspiring Possible. If you found a little inspiration today, please go on over to iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you tune in to listen to leave us a comment and rate us. Also, make sure and link up with me at inspiringpossible.com to get the free Dream It, Write It, Do It workbook. And don't forget to follow us on social media and share this with anyone who needs to be inspired. Remember, if you can believe it, it's possible.